We're going to be talking identity for those of you who just joined us. Our entire day is going to be focused on what constitutes identity, how it will function in the new business models, the new market, data liquidity, and the fact, or at least I'm going to call it a fact, it is an operating hypothesis, that our identity will be the new form of capital wealth in the coming years. And to kick us off, we're going to be starting with Facebook. All of that data that we give to Facebook, all of its abilities to predict what we like, what we want, what we should see, all of those fun little algorithms that operate in the back of their system, popping us with new ideas and ads and connections and people we know. What is it, and how is it they're able to do that? What is it that they can predict? Why can they do that? And why do they seem to know us better than we know ourselves? I'm very, very pleased to introduce Professor Vladan Joler. Thank you.
So there are on one side you have companies that are collecting data, but on the other side there is also different governments, and we know all of those stories about Snowden and everything what happened. But also we were trying to try to understand how this looks like, and also to try to write different stories and try to explain to people how, for example, different government agencies are collecting metadata and what you can learn from there. So there was one topic really appearing, and that was the topic about algorithmic transparency. So we started to be aware how algorithms are really important if we want to defend our different forms of human rights in the future, and different. So we understood that because more and more our social communication or business communication, it's mediated by technology. And mostly, when we are speaking about this technology, it's a black boxes in between. So we don't know, we know what is the input, we know what is the output, but we, in most of the cases, don't know what is in between. And this is why algorithmic transparency is important, because this is the way how to see inside and how to understand the different processes that are happening between us in communication. So we started one project that was called Inside Facebook Algorithmic Factory, in order to understand and try to see what one independent group of researchers can basically know about what is going on inside of those black boxes. So I think this is from 2 years ago, but so there is 1.6 billion active users in 2015. So if we are comparing this with the countries around the world, so it's bigger than China. China have 1.3, and India have 1.2. United States, it's 5 times bigger than United States. Okay, and it's 223 times bigger than Serbia. So it's really a lot. And basically, if we are thinking about Facebook as a country, so is it democracy? Is it what is it? What kind of what we as the users, how we can communicate with this imaginary government? There is 1 billion log into Facebook every day. There is 300 petabytes of user data. 1.1 trillion likes since 2004. 4.5 billion likes every day. 3.1 million likes per minute. 1 billion location tagged posts every day. 350 million uploaded photos every day. So now big numbers. I'm trying to, produce some, oh, wow. 4.7 billion items shared each day. 10 billion messages sent each day. So this is on the left side. And what is on the right side? It's a revenue in 2015, for example, that is around almost $18 billion. So what we are thinking is that this black box defines new forms of labor, exploitation, and generation of enormous amount of wealth and power for the owners of this invisible immaterial factory, creating deep economic gap between the ones who owns and control the means of production and the users who really often live below the poverty line. When we are, for example, uploading, sharing, writing something on platforms like Facebook or doing something on internet, we are basically performing immaterial labor. We are working for Facebook. So, and if each person spend around 20 minutes per day on Facebook, but this is like probably each of you who use this know that probably it's even more than 20 minutes. That's around 300 million of free working hours per day that we, as the users, are donating to this huge immaterial factory. So devices are giving a lot of information about type of equipment that you are using, but also like a lot of data that can be collected from different sensors in your mobile phone and so on, so on. And this is one side, your device. But then on the other side, there is like a huge network that is created by use of cookies, pixels, and similar technology that is basically covering the 50% of the globe, so 50% of the internet. So on almost half of the websites that are out there, there are some form of cookies from Facebook being embedded in those websites. This is some kind of drawing that we made, like mapping different kind of trackers that are embedded in those websites. And this is, so we analyze like top 100 websites that people are visiting, and then we were able to understand that on 90% of those websites there are some Google cookies, on 46% Facebook cookies. And then there is like huge network of amount of data that Facebook is able to collect from different companies that they acquired, or different marketing partner organizations. For example, what Chomsky is saying about traditional newspapers. He said, like, the final product of the newspaper, it's not the newspaper itself or the magazine itself. It's basically the public that is being, the users, the readers that are being sold to the advertisers. No? So, but in traditional media, when we're speaking about, for example, traditional newspaper or magazines, you have like one defined group. So, for example, the readers of these magazines are mostly females, this age, from those countries, and so on and so on. But when we are speaking about Facebook, each individual user can be sold separately. There was like one American professor. She was like trying to hide her pregnancy from the internet, and then she was able to do that for like 9 months. But then just someone, when she gave birth, someone said, "Congratulations, tra la la," and from that moment, her screen was full of advertising that was related to. So it's not so easy. Basically, like each person is one node, and each event that one person create, like each photo, each whatever, become another node. And then Facebook is able to create like one huge social graph that is connecting different people, different users with different posts, different photos, and then this allows them to analyze this in different ways. They're extracting different keywords from text, from photos, from different, any kind of like content that you create, and then trying to match this in some form of taxonomy, how those different keywords are fitting together, and then trying to basically form idea about what you are doing. For example, if this person have those friends, and this friend is, for example, a Republican, this one is Democrat, if they are not able to understand who is he, then they have different algorithms trying to understand his social connections and trying to understand, is he more Democrat or Republican, for example. You're giving location from where you logged in. And then Facebook is trying to understand. So, for example, like every morning you are logging in at home, and then you are logging in at job, and then going to pick your kid, and then trying to understand the places where you are logging in, and then trying to understand what is home, what is job, what is kids' school. And then, based on this, they can understand the routines. So you're doing this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then when you know routines, then you can extract anomalies. And this is something that they are able to do. So for example, they are able to understand like all of those places. And then if you start to make anomalies, this is the signal for them that you're, for example, traveling or you're doing something different in your life. And then they're able to understand like how much you earn or to which social group you belong. And our capacity to understand what's happening in the inside of those black boxes is really limited, especially with the fact that Facebook and other big companies have a power and financial means to buy the biggest experts that are out there. So just imagine that, for example, some government regulator or whoever will need to hire some, I don't know which number of data scientists in order to examine what's going on within those black boxes.
Thank you. Thank you, Vladan. To actually translate that for us, for those of you who need someone that speaks banker and what the implications are, I'd like to introduce our next guest speaker. He is actually the managing partner for 11FS. If you're familiar with their podcast, it's FinTech Insiders. He is one of the hosts. He's also an industry vet and thought leader, and I call him brother, Sam Maule.
We're going to talk about Babylon in 329 BC, everybody's favorite topic. Okay, anybody from Babylon? Didn't think so. Okay, yeah, somebody is. All right, so in 329 BC, Babylon was the largest city in the world. It was the cornerstone, it was the anchor of one of the largest empires in the world. So bankers, yes, I'm comparing you to Babylon, okay? You had your run. They had a good run. It was a great run, you still do. But they were a massive empire at the time. But one of the mistakes they made in their own identity was this legacy mindset they had. And a mistake that you have right now is your legacy mindset is that we have been here forever and a day. We're all powerful. We're going to be fine. And missing what was coming at them. Because what happened in 329 BC, in literally one night, the city was conquered. A city that never, ever should have been conquered, no one thought could. And by the way, without a battle, interestingly enough. And it was something they should have seen coming. The Persians under Cyrus the Great were making a ton of noise. They were watching them, and they way underestimated what was coming at them. And what I want to warn you about, I'm not calling Facebook an enemy of yours whatsoever, or the other tech companies, but you just saw the mountain of data that they sit on and the client base that they have, and this is a wave that is coming at you right now. And so the excuse to say we didn't see it coming doesn't fly. The interesting thing with Babylon and Cyrus the Great, how he conquered it, he didn't do it with an army. He did it with engineers. Hello, Facebook. He did it with engineers. He took the Euphrates River, which runs right through the heart of Babylon, split the city in half. It was the lifeblood of the city. Cyrus the Great took his engineers, he diverted the river, and they walked right into the city. The citizens woke up and looked around and went, well, hey, Cyrus, how you doing? Done, battle over. I am a consultant, so if I was hired by Nebuchadnezzar, it's a real easy message. Go partner with Cyrus the Great. The hell is wrong with you? Why are you going to war with this guy? Why not partner up, work with him, and see what you can do with all the data that you own, with all the elements that you own, and go that way. So for those of you that are terrified to open up your defenses and are terrified of open banking, it is coming. Let me tell you something very interesting about submarines. They all leak. Anybody on a boat? They all leak. Subs leak. You can't be terrified to go 1,000 feet underwater knowing that your ship leaks. It does. That's part of life. Guess what? You're going to get breached. Not if, when. So 3 things you have to address. Your legacy mindset, all right? Your identity of what a bank is. Banking's moving to a verb, all right? We know that. We talked about data being the new oil. Yes, it is. I mean, that's where we're moving to. The definition of what a bank and banking is changing like crazy and being impacted by the large tech companies mainly, I would say right now. It's that legacy mindset, your legacy defenses, being terrified of opening up the data. You have to. welcome to the new world, okay? And it will help you out. It'll get you into business models. It'll get you into revenue streams you hadn't thought of, which gets back to my last point, partnerships. That's the new world, all right? The idea of open banking, of the marketplace, of looking for valid and great partners so that you're not displaced.
Facebook can see so much of what we do, and our behaviors and our thoughts are being translated into clicks on a digital footprint. What are some of the parameters we can take as individuals to be a little bit more private, but also how can we start to educate the financial community about what it takes to really tap into or shape or use that data that is being collected by Facebook, or the algorithms that we could then also adopt as an industry?
The problem is like, and also with the thing like now, for example, in the United States, on the border crossing, they can check your Facebook account. And also when you are applying for visa, they can check your Facebook account. The thing is, not having Facebook account, is it like suspicious activity? Of course. So you are more suspicious if you don't have Facebook account. And then what that means? That means that we will need to build our profiles in a way that they fit to expectation of different governments, different companies. So if you are applying for a job, the first thing people do is to check your LinkedIn and Facebook account. So that means this is not anymore the place of freedom of expression or whatever we call it. It's a place of our projection of our, like, you know, like who we think we are.
Our identity.
Exactly, exactly. And more, Facebook and other platforms are used for this kind of things. More and more we are going to behave. It's a means of social control.
There's the counterpart to that, and I'll wrap up this quickly. Put this in the context of what it is for alternative credit scoring and financial inclusion.
There you go.
That if we have a Facebook profile, if we have a social media profile, we can start to see our behaviors mapping out a risk profile, and then we can actually start to include people who have never had access to traditional credit, bringing them in. So this is an important component of us thinking about the good, along with the social cost. Everything does have a price, but it can enable more financial inclusion.